So my name is Kevin Kilonzi. I'm one of the pastors at Mavuno Church. My wife, Pastor Faith, and I serve as the lead pastors of Mavuno Church Hillcity campus, but we also oversee the Hillcity network, which currently is about 12 churches scattered across Kenya, the Francophone nation of Rwanda and Burundi, and Lusaka as well. We have one amazing son. His name is Sean. He's 11 years old as of this year. So yeah, that's me. So I joined Mavuno Church almost by mistake. My elder sister Faith, also named as my wife, used to attend Mavuno downtown, and she was a consistent member there. And one day, I was broke. And so she said, come to church and I'm gonna help you with some money. So I came to church, she helped me with some money, and I quickly discovered that when I show up in church, I get some money. And so I literally came to church because of being broke. Sometimes it's good, and my sister would give me money, and I would keep coming back. By that time, I was a student. I was a first-year student in Kenyatta University, 2007 the year was, and I somehow at first I was very apprehensive about Mavuno Church. The style of ministry, the expression of ministry was different. I was not used to that. I wasn't like a church spirit guy, but I was also neither like novice when it comes to church matters. So I was a bit skeptical, but I really enjoyed the teaching. I really enjoyed the conversations. And so I decided to join the church as a first-year student. Fast forward to the end of my first year, to the end of fourth year, and I finished college. By that time, we've done Mizizi in Kenyatta University. I'd led students. I'd started bringing many students to the campus. In fact, we had a discipleship group. Back then, we used to call them interactive groups or I groups, running at Kenyatta University. And so I decided, hey, I'm done. Let me join the Discovery program, which is a one-year leadership development program at Mavuno Church that is offered by Mavuno Church. And so I joined that. And that's really my beginner season of joining church, but also of joining church leadership. Yeah. So how was it volunteering and then moving into like discovery and internship and pastoral training? It was an interesting journey, to be honest. Now, people wouldn't tell though. What happened is that, again, remember I was a broke guy, not anymore. What happened is that I would come early to church because coming from Kenyatta University to town, it was against traffic early in the morning. And so I would actually pay much less. And then I would stay in church until later because going back again that way was against traffic, and so I would again pay much less. And so people thought I was this guy who's given to church. I was just broke, man. I wanted a cheaper fare. And so that's how I was volunteering. Now I had the time. Remember, I'm a student, nothing much going down on a Sunday, so I had the time. And so I would come early to church, I would stay longer, and I would leave much later. So I had the time to be able to actually spend in church. But in so doing, what was I gaining? I was getting to see pastors serve in the ministry, giving themselves in the ministry, serving at a very high capacity in the ministry. I was learning from them through my situation. So I started actually by folding cables. I was part of the media team. I've always loved media team. So I was folding cables. Early in the morning, I was unrolling cables. Later in the day, I was folding cables back. I was setting down, but I was just gaining a heart for ministry. By the time I joined Discovery, everyone else that we joined was sort of new, and so they were coming to start understanding church leadership. But I had understood church leadership from a serving perspective, not from a position perspective. And so that somehow just defined me. To date, we lead one of the churches in Mavuno Church Hillcity. It's one of the bigger churches in the movement. I will fold cables any day. I will arrange chairs I don't feel it defines me because I did that from an early age, and I learned that from pastors as well. And so that has been my story. Many times often defined not by position but by service. But I've also discovered that the more you serve, the more people honor your position when they discover who you are. I mean, like when you discover, Jesus washed people's feet. Oh, and what? He's Jesus. Like the honor comes in spite of the action you are taking. So I think that's how I've ended up growing in ministry. Yeah. So how did my wife and I prepare emotionally and spiritually to be sent for the mission of church planting? So a little throwback. So while in Kenyatta University, in second semester of my first year, we were part of a group in the university, and we had a meeting somewhere. And in the meeting, I threw my eyes across we were standing in a circle. I see this butte all the way from Eldoret. So that was Faith, Pastor Faith, who's now my wife. And we never got to date first year, second year, third year. In fourth year, I threw my lines, they landed, come on. And she discovered I'm the one who's there. Sisi ndio tuko. She accepted my vibes. So in fourth year, we dated through fourth year. When I was doing discovery, she didn't do discovery in Mavuno, but she allowed me to be able to do that. On the third year, when I was doing my pastoral trainee, we actually got married. So we got married in September of 2013. And immediately I told her, she knew I was in church. She knew that I was going to serve in ministry long term. And so we get married, and, you know, I'm like, this is what we are doing. So she joins me at Mavuno Downtown. That was the church we were serving. I was serving as the student ministry director at Mavuno Church Downtown campus. At that time, we were running Campus Trend. We actually began Campus Trend together with her. Even that name, Pastor Kevin directly gave it to us, but we really are the ones who started the very first Campus Trend back in 2014 at that time. And at some point, Pastor Kevin felt that we needed to plant a student campus, like a campus, a Mavuno Church campus that was primarily for students. Now, along Thika Road, there are over 21 institutions of higher learning between the University of Nairobi and Gretsa. And so we felt if we were going to plant a church that primarily reaches out to students and people in their first job or something like that, then Kenyatta University was going to be the Thika Road was going to be the place. And I was like, because I was already staying in Roysambu, we're looking for a venue around there. We found a venue at IAT Kasarani, no longer exists. But we planted the Mavuno Church Lifeway at Kasarani. Now, when you plant a church, those things that I was learning of folding cables, unfolding cables, arranging chairs, they were just in my head. Like, would come on Saturday, and all you do is set up. We set up the chairs, we set up the cables. Of course, the speakers, you wouldn't set them up on that day because we were putting up tents up and down every weekend. We'd do all that. Sunday morning, we were there early. We set up, and it was a setup set down for 5 years, man, of doing that church plant. And so to prepare emotionally, I think there was a clear call of God. We couldn't deny that. I think we were too young and too foolish to know what it really meant. And so I think we went because my leader, my supervisor back then, Pastor Kevin, said, I think you can do it. And so we went for it on account of his faith. But there was always that realization that this is something we'd like to do. We just didn't know what you were stepping into at that time. If I knew what I know now about church planting, I think I would have chosen to remain at Downtown, because Downtown was a comfortable church, man. I mean, first of all, I was growing in my leadership. My pastor was paying me well and promising to pay me even better. Church planting meant that I was going to look for my own salary. And so it meant, first of all, I was going to stagnate for a while. The people that I was with in Downtown were progressing in their earning capacity. Me, I had stagnated. It was crazy. I wouldn't have gone knowing that today. But I'm glad I stepped out, because lives have been transformed in crazy ways, man. Yeah. What did I learn about church planting from that season? Number one, you will never go wrong when you start developing people. I remember, I'd been leading Campus Trend through 2014. We planted Mavuno Lifeway, which was in Kasarani, in 2015. Now, part of our core team that we went with to plant were actually campus students. I remember my leader of our guest experience was a campus student. My leader of, the one that leading the music team, but they were part of the music team. They were students. A lot of our band, as we began, some of them were students. So it was a crazy thing. So I learned, number one, people are everything. But number two, you cannot judge people at their current level of reality. there is so much more coming ahead of people, but many people judge people at their current level of sight. So you see someone and you just think, this is just, whoever, this is just a janitor, this is just someone who does this and that. But you don't see their glorified sense. 5 years, 10 years from now, they're going to be something completely different. People are not stuck in a season. People are always moving ahead. And so a lot of our ministry has been built by people we believed in or trusted in when they were young, so that much later they come and give way more, either in terms of their resource or their capacity, in a manner that you can't understand. Let me tell you an example. At Mavuno Lifeway, when we began, we had one of the best social media strategies of a church back then. In fact, many people were coming to church on account of what they saw online. In fact, there's someone who came and told me, how come your church is always happy? I was like, that's what we allow you to see on social media. But it was interesting. Incidentally, the person who was in charge of our social media, when I met them, they were a second-year student at University of Nairobi. And I told them, I think there's something digital about you. So I'd actually challenged them out of that. They went and learned how to do graphics design. They went and learned how to do videography. They went and learned how to do illustration with media. So they were in charge of our social media, and we were getting flyers, we were getting videos, we were getting pictures on a weekly basis. But it was because I challenged someone. I think when they were in school, they were doing like BBIT or something like that. But because I spoke that into them, now they are a career. They're actually a millionaire out of that. They were earning in millions. I can't afford them right now. But because of what I did with them, they serve me for free. Like if I say I need this, they'll actually produce it on account of the work we did among them. So in ministry and in work, really in life, people are everything. People are the resource you need. We are about capitalism. The king of capital, I think, is people. Once you have people on your side, then you have their skill and their resources as well. So a big lesson from early on in ministry. Yeah. What are some of the principles I've carried into every church that we've led? By God's grace, we've led a couple of churches. We've planted a couple. We've been part of a couple. In 2012, I was part of the team that planted Mavuno, Lusaka, Zambia. I was part of the team that did the spy mission for Mavuno, Rwanda. Planting. We planted Mavuno Lifeway. We sent the team that planted Mavuno Thika. We sent the team that planted Mavuno Kiambu Road. Then we left Mavuno Lifeway after leading it for 5 years. We came back to Mavuno Downtown, which is another whole story. We led Mavuno Downtown for 5 years. Now we are leading Mavuno Hillcity. As a result of being here, part of what we've overseen so far is planting of a couple of other churches. Just this month of April, Mavuno Bondo and Mavuno Eldoret were commissioned as well. So I've been part of many church plants. A key lesson I've learned is I think it's important for people to know that we serve a global God, therefore our vision must be global. When you read Matthew 28:18-20, you are told, go into the ends of the earth. God's vision for you is the ends of the earth. And so I say, even if you're selling groundnuts, wherever you are, you must say, how are people in Uganda going to buy groundnuts? That should be your vision. Now, if you don't get to Uganda, your children will. And so you never pass on a vision to your children that is smaller than where you are. So you may fail to go to Uganda, but you must tell kids, hey, we sell groundnuts. My vision is that you guys will sell groundnuts in Uganda one day. You guys will sell whatever somewhere. So it's good to have a global vision because we serve a great God, and therefore our vision must be global. I really believe that whatever you are doing, don't just dream of fear. What does Jesus tell his disciples? Tell them Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth. At that point, the guys are like, what do you mean? Are you crazy? We're just a bunch of small people. But he's telling them ends of the earth from earlier on. And so I believe there must be the ends of the earth in every vision that we have. Now, of course, I've talked about people and the place of people in God's vision. Now, you will not go to the ends of the earth alone. And if you go to one end of the earth, who's going to the other ends of the earth? So if your vision is if you can achieve your vision by yourself, it's too small and your ego is too big. And so what you need to do is entrust the vision to other people who can actually be able to go to other places. I've also discovered something else. When you serve another person's vision, in that vision, God gives you your own vision as well. I've always served another person's vision. I've always served Pastor Kevin Derito's vision, or Pastor BX's vision, or Pastor M's vision, or Pastor Kiama's vision. Those are the leaders who've led me through the different seasons of my life. But in serving their vision, what happened? God gave me my own vision. The Bible says that if you cannot be entrusted with little, who will entrust you with much? And if you cannot be entrusted with what is another man's, who will entrust you with your own? And so sometimes I find young people saying, oh, my vision, my vision. I'm like, bruh, humble yourself, serve another man's vision. As their vision escalates, yours escalates as well. Yours grows as well. Right now, I think I'm the most excited pastor around, because I'm doing part of my excitement, part of my vision is tied to young people and youth ministry. Right now, we are doing Camp Fearless every month. I'm achieving my vision under Pastor M's vision. I'm getting to gather young people from across the nations and literally across the counties in Kenya, but I'm doing it under another man's vision. And so as I've been faithful with that vision, God has entrusted me with my own. So those are some of the lessons I've learned in the short time span of doing ministry. Yeah. How do you build unity and momentum when you join a new congregation? Number one, many times, I say this in tongue-in-cheek, many times your leader will send you to a different department, or send you to a different team, or send you to a different area of responsibility, because from their perspective, they can see you have the capacity. Many times that's often the case. They entrust you. There's still some growth, but they can see. Now, the worst thing to do is to go to that other place as the person who knows. The system has a way of rejecting know-it-alls. So what you do, always go as a servant. What did Jesus do? Jesus could have come as a know-it-all from heaven, but the Bible says he came in the nature of a servant. He came to serve. And as he serves, the elevation just came by nature. And so every church we've gone to, the first thing we do is to say, hey guys, we don't know. Somehow God has given us this responsibility. We want to learn from you, because you guys are the ones on the ground. We want to learn from you. And as we learn from you, you'll also learn some things from us. So don't be ashamed you can't lead, so no one is moving. No, you must be able to gather people, share that with them, and then start walking the journey of discovering churches. Every church has its own nuance. Every organization has its own nuance. The best thing you can do is to say, I'm going to enter in as a servant, and from the place of serving, you'll be able to now find your elevation, and people will be able to trust you, basically. And so know everyone. Most places I'll go, I'll get to know the janitors, the people. Janitors are serious, man. They know which key doesn't work over which door. So you get to know those guys, talk to them, treat them well, get to know the leaders of department, get to know the people who serve in the department. Before you ever even bring any ideas, just get to connect with people, and then bring your ideas as, but there I was thinking, what do you think if I know we've been doing this, what if we change that? Why do we do this? As you get to understand the why, you can bring another idea, but with a bigger why, or amplifying the why. So generally, enter as a servant. You will never go wrong with that. But also, don't be afraid to gather. So people understand you have the position. So the position works for you, but you enter in the nature of a servant. So when you gather people, they can come on account of your position, but then they find that your posture is that of a servant, so they're able to listen to you. And so I think that's a big deal for me. Yeah, so how it felt we are out of our depth on this one. Everything is bigger, and we feel just so much smaller. Yeah. We honor former leaders who've led in a place. What inspires that? I think I don't know how we learned it, probably by mistake. But there's something we discovered. Mavuno downtown had been led by Pastor Kiama, who planted the church, Pastor BX, who took over from Pastor Kiama, Pastor Kevin Derito, who took over from Pastor BX, then us. Now, all these leaders, I had served under each and every one of them. Pastor Kiama is a deeply strategic mind, and they had learned a great deal of strategy from him. Pastor BX is a shepherd at heart. He had taken me to many shepherding conversations, and I'd learned a great deal from him as well. Pastor Kevin is an organizer. Oh my world. He can organize it to to the T. amazing. So because I knew what I'd learned from each of and every one of them, you never undo that. I see sometimes leaders go somewhere and they undo all the foundations and they want to start the building again. No, you honor the foundation that has been set. Paul says this, I believe, to the Corinthians. He said that I set a foundation and others are building on it. And I realize that wherever I go, someone has set the foundation. The thing you can do is to build on it. Now, some foundations are faulty, so you can correct. But you never undo. You don't like, start the building all over again. You're always building on the foundation. Some foundations are solid, and you build on that. You build on the strategic mindset of Pastor Kevin. You build on the shepherding heart of Pastor BX. You build on the organizing mind of Pastor Kevin. So you're always building on top of other people's foundation. And you do your part, you do your season. And once you're done, God moves you to another season. Another person comes, and you are hoping that they're just going to take what you had done and build on top of it. So that sometimes some leaders never get to second floor because they always want to do the foundation work. You never get to see the building build and go up because you're always on first floor. And so when you honor other people's foundation, then you're able to say first floor, second floor, third floor, and you honor other leaders. I think the how to do that is to look at a leader and not necessarily see their faults, but see their genius. Because every leader has a genius. Once you discover their genius, talk about it. So every time at Mavuno Downtown, I had given the media team 4 pictures, and I told them, anytime I speak about these pictures, I want them up on the screen. Pastor Kiama and Pastor Wamboi Kiama, Pastor BX and Pastor Becky, Pastor Kevin Derito and Pastor Lucy Derito, Pastor M and Pastor Caro. And I told them, anytime I talk about these guys, their pictures are here. I want them up because those are people who've built us up, and we need to honor them. Each of them has a genius. And so if we build on top of what they are doing, then the building is going up. We're on 4th floor. But if we don't, we're going to go back to the foundation. And foundation work is hard. Yeah, ask the ladies. Why is it important to finish a ministry season well, leaving surplus, not debt? Again, it's the foundation work. You always believe in that someone else is coming to build on top. So if you finish everything, then they have to start from ground zero. And so to the best of my ability, my passion is to be able to say there's something left over for someone else. The Bible says that in a wise man's house, there is oil and something else, and bread, I think, but a full gaps there's down. And so you wanna leave a house where someone else can come and build on top, so you don't finish. I have a heart for teens and young adults. That's true. What fuels the passion? Somebody saw me as a young person. You guys, I was a lost, young, foolish student. Now that I'm just foolish, I realize that someone saw me as a young person, believed in me, called me out. That's Pastor Kiama and Pastor BX. I don't know what they saw in me. But I decided, I don't know what they saw in me, but I felt if I ever get the chance, then I'm gonna give an opportunity to young people. They believed in me to lead a discipleship group when I was young, and I led the discipleship group. They believed in me with roles. At some point, I was in charge of the media teams. At some point, I was in charge of the setup, set down. They believed in me with small roles, but those roles gave me a platform. And so I see young people, and I always say to the people I work with, young people ministry is spelled engage. So you must find a way to engage them. Even if all they do is set up one chair and clean it, that's all they do. Engage them there, because you are setting them up for a life of ministry. So someone saw me, called me out. That's what I want to do. How do I help young people to discover their purpose in kingdom? I always say young people start by serving. Again, it's the same journey I was taken through. Pull cables, set up, come early, leave late. In fact, nowadays I teach young people that if you're not staying in church for at least 5 hours, you're doing something wrong. I just stayed in church for 3 days before the parents found. So we can stay in church for 5 hours at least on a Sunday. And so the best thing for a young person to do is to gain a heart for serving. Because it's a kingdom principle. If you're serving, elevation is on the way. Many people want the elevation devoid of the serving, and therefore they can never maintain the position because they don't know how to get there. And so I personally believe that even if today I was removed from Mavuno and I was sent to Singapore, I'm going to rise again. Why? I know my way out. I know how to get there. Join a place, start serving. You will be distinguished with time because your work will speak for itself. Many people want the position, then to work. But how it works in the kingdom is that you work, then the work speaks for you. And so I always teach young people, join a place, serve, look for a person who's ahead of you and follow them. Following is the quickest way to arrive to a destination. If I'm going to your home, you can send me a pin, which will be good. The other way is that I can follow you. Because the pin knows the main roads, you know the shortcuts. So if I'm following you, I'll get there faster than anyone else. My life is about following. I followed Pastor Kiama, I followed Pastor BX, I followed Pastor Kevin, I followed Pastor M, and I'm still following. So as I follow them, I'm arriving to destination. I'm hitting mile markers much faster than I would ever dream of. The other day, my wife asked, no, actually about a year ago, my wife asked me, hey, what's our 5-year plan? I was like, sis, even where I am right now, I didn't know I'll be here 5 years ago. Then I told her this, I know the destination though. I won't tell you where we'll be 5 years, but I know where we are heading to. So what we are doing right now is that we are following the people who are on that journey. Now, that was about a year ago. So about 6 months later, we were asked to come and lead Mavuno Hillcity. So when we arrived at Mavuno Hillcity, I told her, hey, you see, if I would have answered your question, I would not have told you Hillcity. So, because even me, I didn't know about it 5 years ago. So I know the destination, so I'm following the person who's heading that way. So the young people, choose a person, follow them. Yeah. How do you identify, train, and release new leaders? Number one is to believe that everyone is a diamond in the rough. Everyone is a diamond in the rough, man. The difference between that, diamond at Cotier, whatever store, and whatever is on the mines is someone just took it through a refining process or a polishing process. And so a key conversation that every leader should have with the people under them is to say, I see in you. So I always have I see in you conversations. I've said I see in you conversation with many people. And I'm not like psyching them or chochaing them or saying things that are not there. So I always try to see a diamond, and then I see in you this and that. And they say, if you stay this process or if you do this and that, something beautiful is going to emerge. And so you always do that. Number two, you're always raising people for the kingdom, not for your church. Now, it's a privilege when they serve under you. It's a joy when they stay with you. But I always have this belief that I'm raising people for the kingdom. So I never have a problem releasing people to achieve their God-given purpose. Now, many times I want to release them within my vision, and that's okay. There are some who will be there. But I also have joy of seeing people who have become bridge builders for me because I raised them. They're serving somewhere else, but you always know where they started. And so I think that's a joy for me to raise people and deploy them. I never want to keep people under me because I cannot become the bottlenecks for people's greatness. You know what I mean? Like I've taught them up to a certain level. And so my passion is to see them go to the next level. And what I've discovered is that because that's my joy, most people still want to serve under you because they know the day when it comes for you to send them, you will send them. And I never, even if someone tells me, oh, my season is over, blah, 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 which I don't think, seasons end. I think in the Christian faith, we send people. People just don't rise up and go. People are sent. And so, but even if that happened, I genuinely want to send you with every blessing and graces that God has placed in my life. So that's the idea. You see in people and you deploy them to a global. Remember I told you about the global vision. You're always sending people to a global vision. So, yeah. How has serving together as a family influenced our ministry? Wow, I remember my son. We planted Mavuno Life when my son was 6 months old. And from when he was 6 months old, his mom was carrying him to the office every week. He started, so I remember when he was a young boy, I think he was like 1 or 2, more towards 2 than 1. he would pick a whiteboard marker and walk around doing this. Because he had come to all my staff meeting and saw me doing writing on the board. We carry him to most ministry functions, especially when they are on holiday. We carry him for such things. He's grown up loving church. Sometimes you have this idea of kids will hate church and all that. I'm always more like, don't decide for them. Now, be wise in terms of how you introduce it. It's more fun than an instruction. So many times if he feels like, can I go here? We'll allow him. Once no, you can't go there because of, we are going for whatever. But he ends up enjoying being where we are. And so for my son, for example, right now at Hillcity, he does lights. There's a time I was doing a training somewhere. He did my slides on ProPresenter. He's currently learning drums. So church has become a fun place. He's part of a football academy in church. So church is a fun place for him in that way. So the family is part of that process. Of course, then I do ministry with my wife, which is very scary because my wife is extremely gifted. And so as a man, sometimes I would want to say, I'm the lion, the champion, the conqueror. But the lion, the conqueror, the champion, it's best when another person tells you you are that. So my job is to open doors for my wife, let her shine. The Bible says that the wife is a crown, the glory of the man. And so if a king wears a crown, it's the crown actually that makes you say that's a king. So when my wife is elevated, then all the better for me. Now, of course, it's always a process of learning, always a process of through different seasons of learning how to do ministry with my family. But we learned something earlier on that you can either choose to do family or mission, or you can choose to do family and mission where you compartmentalize them, or you can choose to do family on mission. I think God has given us the grace to find a way to do family on mission. What do I tell to a young person who's watching me today? I want to tell you this. I believe there's a leadership vacuum in the world over. And the people who distinguish themselves, you're sort of going to just be elevated, you're going to be promoted, you're going to go to new levels just by watching how you lead. And so grow your leadership capacity from a young age. Start by serving. The best thing you can do is volunteer somewhere. The best thing you can do is join an internship. Whether they pay you or not, that's not the issue. I believe that God always compensates every value that is put out, whether people compensate it financially or not. God is not a mocker. He sees the work that you are doing and he will compensate you for it. So that's it. There's a leadership vacuum. Distinguish yourself as a leader. Start in the place of serving. Go into the place of honoring people, those ahead of you, those below you, those that you are in the same age. That's how you receive favor with God and with man. Remember, Jesus received both of them. Sometimes you only want favor with God alone. Sometimes you want favor with man alone. Jesus received both. And how do you that? Do you get both? You love God and you love people and you do what is best for both of them. So that's it. I truly believe you're going to be elevated and God is going to bring out a leader in you that will change and turn this world upside down, because it's already upside down. So when you turn it upside down again, you really put it back to the right side up.